fantastic, and we are always excited when he joins us at StahlstadtJS. And now he's going to show us his latest side project, front-end bookmarks. So, well, welcome, Manuel.
Hi, and thank you so much for having me, and also thank you for the nice and perfectly well prepared introduction. The talk you were talking about was writing CSS with accessibility in mind, if I'm not mistaken. As already mentioned, my name is
I'm
Manuel
so
Matuzovic.
sorry.
My name is Manuel Matuzovic. I'm a front-end developer from Vienna, and I also work for the city of Vienna. And there I'm responsible for front-end stuff. I write HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and I'm also one of the accessibility guys there. I also have a website, matuzo.at, where I blog about these topics. So if you're interested in CSS and especially accessibility, you might find something interesting there. And just like Max, who you will see afterwards, I'm part of the Web Clerks team. We're organizing the Web Clerks Community Conference in Vienna and also the Web Clerks Meetup. And I'm also running a website called HTML Hell, where I collect bad practices in HTML on real life websites. And I put them on htmlhell.dev and I explain what's bad about them. And I also give an example of a better practice that you can use. So if you are into shitty HTML and also into good HTML, and if you want to learn how to write nice HTML, this is also something for you. Recently, I built a little website. It's nothing too spectacular, but it solves a specific problem for me, and it might also solve a problem for you. Usually when I write front ends, it doesn't matter if it's HTML or CSS or JavaScript. It might happen that I remember a certain article that I read about the thing that I'm working on. So for example, if I write some HTML and I link to an external website, it might happen that I remember that I read this article about some security concern when you link to external websites. And this article suggested that you have to add a certain attribute in order to make it secure. Now, I might not remember who wrote it or where it's online. So what I would usually do is, if I was an organized person, I would have bookmarks in my browser and I would use them and find the article immediately, but browser bookmarks don't work for me at all. Either I'm not using them or I'm using them too much and it gets messy. And at a certain point, I just stop using browser bookmarks. So in order to solve that problem, that specific problem for me, I created front-end bookmarks, which is a collection of talks and articles about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, split by or organized by language. So you can see there are 3 links on this website, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And if I click the HTML link, there is a list of elements and also a list of attributes. So if I'm, for example, doing some custom JavaScript stuff and I want to make sure that it's accessible and I need, I don't know, ARIA labeled by, but I don't know how it works or if there's anything that I should consider, I can just check out front-end bookmarks and see which articles are linked for that specific property. There's also a search, so you can search, for example, for nth last child, and then you will see all the articles related to nth last child. Or, for example, JSON Stringify, and you will see articles that someone wrote about JSON Stringify. My connection is slow for some reason. Yeah, here it is. So it's pretty much just a collection of links about front-end stuff, but very specific to certain attributes and elements and properties and selectors, methods, expressions, operators, and so on. So you won't find any general articles or any framework-specific articles. It's just about very specific stuff. You can see here in CSS, there are some properties, and it's a nice way of learning stuff as well. So it's not just a repository where you can find stuff that might be interesting to you, but you can also learn about certain properties. For example, contain. I don't know what contain is. I mean, I put it online, but I didn't read it. But it's a nice way of discovering new stuff. So here you can see an article by Rachel Andrew where she wrote about contain. It's also explained on this page what it is in a sentence or two, and you will also find the code sample. That's pretty much it. There are already some articles or some pages for HTML because I write a lot of HTML and I care a lot about HTML and CSS. But there are only 3 JavaScript pages because I don't read too much about JavaScript. There's only some stuff about stringify and await and async. And this is where you come into play. So if you have written an article about a specific operator, for example, please share it with me and I will put it on this website. There are different ways of contributing. One is, that's probably the easiest for you, but the most time consuming for me. There's a issue on GitHub in the front-end bookmarks repository where you can just dump a link and I will put it on the website. So that's probably the easiest way. Another way is to fork the project. In the README file of the project, you will find some guidelines on how to add new links and create new pages and so on. So please contribute. You can also just write me a message on Twitter. I think my direct messages are open, or just add a comment on GitHub. The website itself is built with Eleventy. Eleventy is a static site generator. All the cool kids are using it, so I have to use it as well. It's a JavaScript-based static site generator, which is really cool. So you can use the language you also love to extend it and create cool stuff. And what I like about Eleventy is the simplicity. So you have to install it using npm or yarn, I guess. And then for your setup, all you need is this. You just have a folder. There is a markdown file, for example, but it could also be a nunchucks file or some other template language. And then you run Eleventy. And that's it. Now you have an HTML file. So it just takes whatever you give it. There are specific template languages, like I already mentioned, and it creates HTML, and that's it. You have a static file, and that's really cool because it's easy. And I know it's usually you don't use the word easy or simple, but it's really simple. It's like getting started with Eleventy is really easy. And what's great about this website is it's pretty fast, even though I didn't optimize anything, or I did some things like minification and I used Uglify, but the homepage has a total weight of 12.9 kilobytes. So that's pretty fast. Of course, there are no images and I'm not using custom fonts and almost no JavaScript, but Eleventy is fast by default because it just creates static HTML. So this is really cool. Of course, it could be faster, but I guess Max is going to talk about how to make websites really fast. So even faster than this website. Yeah, some more code. There isn't anything too fancy about this website. It's just some markdown files with a title, a short description, a code sample. That's pretty much it. I guess the only interesting thing is how I fetch the data. So for every property, for example, or for every attribute, I create a JSON file with an array of objects. And there I add a unique ID. I need this ID because you can reference any article on any page, and I need a unique ID for that. And you add the URL to the article or the talk or whatever. And I wrote a node script that you can run. My computer is really slow at the moment. And if I run this script, it will go through all JSON files and fetch the data for the links, and it will add stuff like the title, the description. If there's an image, it will also add an image, information about the author, and so on. And that's pretty much it. So this is actually pretty easy, but it could be nicer. And after seeing Samuel's demo, I might consider using Storyblock because I would like to have a user interface for adding pages and links. I'm not sure if it will work with Storyblock, but that might be something that could be interesting for this project as well. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. So there aren't too many pages online right now or too many links, but there are a bunch. And yeah, it would be cool if there were more. So please contribute to this project. Also, if you see any room for optimization, if you would like to change something, or if I got anything wrong, please tell me. You can find me on Twitter or on my website, or you can also use good old email. My email address is manuel@matuzo.at. And I guess that's it. Thank you very much.
I thank you as well, Manuel. I guess I'm not muted anymore. Uh,